I did it again. Welcome back to the Overwatch Open. I have buttons to press, and that is far too much responsibility. You are shaking your head in disappointment, and he's going to make me pay for that later. Josh and ZP are joining me. I am Machine, otherwise known as Alex, and we've got an intriguing one for you. It's the second game of the North American region for the Overwatch Open Week 3. God, I can't believe it's Week 3 already. We have blitzed through this. One more week to go, and it's starting to get a little bit tense for some of these teams, of course, battling for that playoff spot to get closer to $300,000 and a trip to Atlanta. Certainly not too shabby. Now, let me explain what's going on now. We have Liquid versus SPLYCE. Gentlemen, we haven't seen SPLYCE before, and I feel like a lot of our viewers may be unfamiliar with these guys. They haven't cropped up too far. They have been present, they have been competing, and yet haven't managed to make it to the round of 8s and the rounds that we actually often broadcast. This is the round of 16, round of 8. This is the furthest we've seen SPLYCE get in a while. ZP, have you got any light you can shed on this? Because, I mean, I spoke to Josh for a moment. He just went, yeah, they've been chopping and changing everything. So it's hard to call.
I mean, for that summary of where SPLYCE is probably pretty close to accurate right now.
Okay.
I mean, you look at what SPLYCE has been doing recently. They've changed a lot of players. There was a point where Steel was on the team. There was a point where Flame was on the team. The chopping and changing part, very much accurate. And the problem with SPLYCE is that they've never had a point where they've really been a legit top 4 team. They haven't hit the heights that other teams have had. Liquid has had points where they've done pretty well, but they've also had to change things up. Of course, now Waz is on the team, and it worked out pretty decently for them in recent times, so we'll see if that works. I think Liquid has been doing a little bit better in the last week or two. So going into it, given SPLYCE's sort of who knows where they stand on roster changes and Liquid's recent pretty good results, I would probably favor Liquid going in here. But both these teams have probably had some of the biggest roster changes of any team right now in the Overwatch, or any teams in the Overwatch scene.
And we saw Kefri last week, right, Josh?
Yeah, Kefri had some great games. His Reaper play specifically was quite good, and we've aired the highlights a couple of times now where it's like, Kefri just killed absolutely everyone, but he's not here today, or most likely won't be.
So was he a stand-in then?
He was a tryout, actually. Yeah,
okay.
so Dummy, formerly on Liquid, now back on NRG with Siegel and friends. They needed someone to fill in. Obviously, Kefri was just a tryout. Even though he did a really good performance, they actually upset TSM, in my opinion, an upset last week. And who knows how they'll perform today. Obviously, they reached the round of 8 again, so Waz helping them reach that milestone at least. But yeah, very curious to see how they'll work together here against SPLYCE, whose roster might have 1 or 2 surprises as well. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe they've got something kind of splicey up their sleeves. For now, though, we do have Dorado, Nepal, and Lijiang. Wow, that took me by surprise. Okay, so we're going to be seeing a couple of newer faces to the veto for today, at least. Does this read as expected for you guys? Is there any kind of curveballs been thrust into your faces?
No, I mean, seems pretty standard here. Of course, you have Dorado, which a lot of teams have been comfortable. I'm seeing a little bit more frequently. It's right up there with Hollywood and Kings Row in terms of how much you play it. And I'm not sure exactly how it went down, but clearly one team was angling and going for the King of the Hill play. Which team it might be, I'm not sure. Maybe it was on the SPLYCE end, where SPLYCE is working with so many new parts that they do prefer running King of the Hill a little bit more frequently, just because unlike something such as payload maps, you don't need quite as much team coordination, as much practice to go in there and play mechanically solid.
Mechanically solid. I was going to make a joke
Liquid
about clockwork
solid.
there. No, I was going to make clockwork, mechanical parts.
Sure. I was thinking Liquid solid. That would have been a much easier grab.
So much better than me in every single way. Oh.
He said it.
Fantastic. If you can be better than us, which you no doubt can, please do not hesitate to get involved on social media. I'm about to spend my time during this game, of course, watching intently, but also scrolling through the hashtag. It's available at OW Open. If you want to get all the updates on what on earth is going on here, if you want to see who succeeded, who didn't, who thrived, who didn't, find out all the information at overwatchopen.com. And the hashtag I keep telling you, OW Open, ODubs. I keep forgetting what you said, Josh. It was the funniest thing. Who was Wolf? He was
my boy.
He's your boy.
Yeah, and
maybe you can be Josh's boy. Every time, just really upsets me. Okay, do be sure to check it out though. Hashtag OW Open. Now to the actual Overwatch that we can talk about. You mentioned it in passing already, Josh, but just before we do jump into Dorado, Liquid surprise last week. This raised so many eyebrows right across the desk. Like this was not something in your mind. You described it as a surprise. ZP, would you do the same?
It was a little bit of a surprise, them coming out like that. Of course, for Liquid, they have been, again, they've been more variable. I feel like I've said this a lot about a lot of teams, but it's true. As you get to the top tier, teams that are making roster changes that haven't quite solidified everything down, there is just a lot of uncertainty. But for Liquid, they have had periods where they've done really well, and change-ups apparently working in their favor once more. As going into this, I would say that they're probably the favorite.
This time, Liquid come in as the favorite. We'll see. Watch this. You know, Liquid come in as the dark horse and do fantastically. It's like, oh, this is a guaranteed win, and then we just see them completely flop. It does seem like just not inconsistency, but the results are very, very, very different. Like, we don't ever see a guaranteed win ever. I mean, Envy probably the only
the only sure
difference.
thing.
Yeah, the only sure
thing. You
thing.
can bet on Envy.
You can. You certainly. Yeah,
You
but I'm
can.
not a betting man. But talking of Envy, guys, just to highlight, if you are new to this, they are locked in. You won't be seeing Envious now for the next week and then following week as well, because they're done. They're in the playoffs, and you'll get to see the playoffs broadcast here on this same channel as well. But we're ready. It is time for Dorado between these two titans of Overwatch. Will Liquid versus Splyce go the way of the dark horse Liquid, or will Splyce go ahead and make their debut here at the Overwatch Open stream a little bit special? Let's have a look with your casters ZP and Josh.
Dark horse, interesting term for Liquid because their mascot is a horse, of course. A horse.
It's the chess knight.
Oh, right.
But that is still a horse icon. Either way, take a look here at Liquid as they set up here on the defense. Is going to be Dehang here on the Zenyatta, AZK on McCree, Minstrel on Lucio, Waz in the spot that we saw Kefri last week here on the Reaper, ID on Zarya, and Mezar going to complete this defense here on the Reinhardt.
Free Refills is a name I have not seen yet before for Splyce. Shrugger is a bit more familiar. Kozen, Clockwork, Shane is Ghost, and Sickness have at least played here before. Sickness, another one of my boys, used to work actually for me at IGN Pro League back in the day, so very happy to see him performing well, getting signed to a team and all that, so happy to see him perform on Zarya today. Shrugger using this brand new Summer Games Genji skin, which I find to be so beautiful. The shurikens and the sword are so cool looking, but not surprising to see Genji here on attack, as that flanking can come in handy.
Right, and right now he's not even opening with the flank. He's staying with his team up until he gets the archway. Now he's going to move around to the left, look for an opportunity to get in. Defense right now, not doing anything too crazy, just sitting in the courtyard, making the offense bring it to them, and the offense is doing just that. Shane leading the way right away, ends up getting pushed back. Does not want to sacrifice his life for the cause just yet, but he does create enough of an opportunity for Waz to go down right away. So it's a 6v5 now in favor of Splyce on this attack. Things are going well. If they get 1 or 2 more pickoffs, that might be it. AZK under assault in the back will get taken out by Shrugger and Winston. So right now, Team Liquid just getting slowly bled by this assault from Splyce. Nothing too crazy, just getting a few kills.
Now the pile is starting to grow. Mezar and ID and Dehang and Minstrel all falling the way of their fallen teammates, and everything looking good now. The payload will reach his first checkpoint, and only took them about 1 minute and 10 seconds, so overall quite a good time. Never got wiped, so definitely something to aspire to for Liquid when they end up flipping sides later on. But Shrugger has plenty of time to get up here and start just throwing tons of shurikens the way of the defense, so they cannot get a firm defense going. Winston also jumping up there, perhaps preventing them from setting up, but the payload does need to move. It has to get all the way around that corner for any of this to matter, and of course the payload is super slow coming through the doors. AZK does have a Deadeye available. If he can get some help from Reinhardt and Zarya, might be able to land a really juicy ult as we start to move around the church here.
All right, well, here we go. The defense on the way, rushing right down. Deadeye comes out from AZK. Doesn't get what he's looking for, but Mezar and Waz were able to leap down and get what they're looking. That's 3 kills here for the side of Team Liquid. Nothing too flashy here, but they get what they're looking for, and they will have Soundbear for the next fight. And one thing I want to touch on real quick before we're too far removed, looking at why Liquid lost the first point early on, Waz went a little bit over aggro on Reaper, was caught out, and they were down one of their biggest DPS players early on, and it just put Liquid in a hole that they weren't able to recover from. Luckily for Liquid here, though, they have recovered here on the Streets phase, so Splyce can have to win this the old-fashioned way, but Josh, they do have a lot of ults to their name.
Yes, they do. It could be a really good attack for them coming around here, as a Sound Barrier is going to be, of course, incredibly important. Minstrel does have one of his own for the defense, so I do expect to see both of them come out if one is triggered at all. Shrugger, still with Dragon Blade available, also could get a lot of work in if he can find those squishy targets toward the back. I see that Dehang is going to pop his Transcendence to start us off here. Clockwork has a Deadeye to work, or sorry, a Death Blossom to work with. He's going to Wraith Walk back to the point and try and find that defending Lucio. He's actually going to get nailed down by that Reinhardt. Everything going the way of the defense. Slowly but surely, the time is starting to tick off the clock. Splyce having a tough time here in the church phase after a really good start on the opening market phase.
Well, I want to say that was a great Graviton by ID to set things up. It was a clean defense coming out from Liquid. Going into the next fight, they do have Deadeye up. They do have Sound Barrier. Splyce definitely more Lord for Bear. Sickness could put Liquid in a rough position, but here comes Liquid. They go in. They don't even care that they're at ult disadvantage as AZK takes out Clockwork first with the Deadeye, but here comes Shrugger slicing and dicing. Takes out 2 to start this out. Dragon Blade still on the way. This is not something Splyce wants to give up easily. Dragon Blade will be going away. Liquid still fighting here, but the Transcendence is out for the offense. They're applying the pressure. They're not really able to be taken out while this is in here. Shrugger piling on, gets a kill on the Dahang, and they're going to keep this going. Splyce finding the opening, and Shane even getting a little bit of fall through as Reinhardt at the end.
Quite nice Genji play there. The Dragon Blade could have found some targets a little bit faster, but in the end they all do fall, and actually the staggered deaths can hurt a little bit more than the burst death from time to time, and this is one of those cases here as the payload is going to push all the way to that checkpoint. They've now got over 5 minutes just for the last section here. Offense moving around the side, get a quick kill onto the defensive McCree. AZK does trade with Shrugger at least, so that Liquid can rest on that, but the Earth Shatter is available for Shane. He's popping all the way up to the front here, blocking them from actually heading back to the payload, and we do have a Graviton Surge available from ID on the defensive side, so that could come in handy here for Liquid to try and regain control.
Well, the interesting thing about this so far is that this has been very much in favor of Splyce. Liquid has had 1 of the 2 team fights that have kind of gone in their favor, but other than that, Splyce has been saying a lightning fast time here in Dorado. They're able to win this next fight. It's going to be good for them. Unfortunately, they do lose Zenyatta right away here. Liquid may or may not even go after that. For Liquid, they can bide their time. They don't have to go in after this pick. They still know that Splyce has to wait for Zenyatta. So for them, I think they're going to bide their time, and they will have Graviton and Transcendence up for the next fight. So they're in pretty good shape here, just so long as Shane does not throw the needle and get a 3-4 person Earth Shatter.
It's taken a while here for the offense to regroup. They may need to decide, are they going to go straight up the gut? Are they going to go for that top hallway? Obviously, the high ground advantage of the defense can be difficult to deal with, but Shane looks like he's going to head up there with the rest of his team. Fire Strike flying through from the defense, gets a little bit of damage in, but now they're going to end up in the lower hallway. No one actually pushing the payload. Graviton Surge comes out and catches only a Reinhardt. That was kind of a peculiar usage right there, but AZK getting a triple kill there without even using his Deadeye. Looks great for the defense. Cleaning up now. AZK gets the kill on Kozin. Everything went well for the defense that time.
Even though the Graviton didn't get quite what he was looking for there, AZK had position on Splyce. They were not looking for him at all, and he was just able to lay in the damage from the back line, and that is what set up Liquid for victory there. And for Liquid, they're desperately getting a lot of extra time that they needed here. If they were capped on right when Splyce got through here to a point, it would be catastrophic. But now at the very least, they're giving themselves the time they need to have a successful offense in their run. But here we go. The offense Splyce on the way. Sound barrier has been run. Shrugger will be looking for the Dragon Blade. Out comes the Blade. He's going in, trying to capitalize on the Graviton from Sickness. Does not get what he's looking for right away. In fact, there's no kills here from Splyce. And AZK over the top. The Deadeye killing too. Looking for a little bit more. They've funneled Splyce into a hole. They will not get out of it. And that is going to be a successful defense from Liquid. Really good job at dealing with that. And Transcendence from Dahang, preventing a whole lot of deaths there.
Yeah, great ultimates on the side of Liquid, keeping them in the game. It was over 5 minutes left for just this last push, and now that's dwindled down to just 2.5 minutes after 3 successful holds. I got to give AZK so much credit every single time. He's getting at least 3 kills, and of course, Waz and the rest are getting their damage in as well while this is happening. No one really dying, no one overextending, everyone playing their correct positions. Everything basically just favoring Liquid now. They even have a couple of ultimates available for this push. Kozin doesn't have Sound Barrier, and Minstrel does, so that's almost another gimme fight if they use it correctly.
All right, well, Deadeye coming in here from Clockwork, leading the way. Does have Skulls looking for an opportunity, not able to land it. Here comes the defense. Sound Barrier on the way. They're looking for the turnabout. Waz has Death Blossom at the ready. Doesn't have a great opportunity to use it. Will get taken out of the back, but it doesn't matter because AZK has his back once more on a triple kill, moving it forward. Lucio running away, just desperately trying to stay alive as AZK in hot pursuit, and Liquid once more is going to hold. And this game so far has been a breakout party for AZK. I mean, we've seen him have good games before, but he has been the lifeblood for Liquid right now.
Yeah, definitely their saving grace, as it looked like things were looking very grim as Splyce reached this last point, but AZK again scooping 3 kills for the side of the defense. They have to be glad to have him. Definitely not going to be trying anyone out for his role anytime soon. Shane is Ghost moving forward now as the Reinhardt. Get that payload back to where you had it at least, but the high ground advantage still in favor of Liquid. They can hop down whenever it reaches that choke point bridge. Here comes a Deadeye from AZK. He actually gets stunned out of it, but still looks like he's going to be able to pop Lucio. That last shot was so good. Still looking for the Genji now. A little bit of a thinner target, can be harder to hit, especially the Reinhardt swinging away at you. So ID actually picking up the slack when AZK goes down. Mez are getting a couple of kills as well. Everything coming together from Liquid. It looked so scary for them when we first started this point, and now everything is looking great.
Well, here's the thing that's looking even better for Liquid. Splyce is down to what is effectively their last life. They have 1 good push remaining. Luckily for them, they do have tools for that. They can Sound Barrier in the Dragon Blade. They will have to be very careful of Waz. This is where, look at Waz. He's Splice in the corner, looking for an opportunity. We've seen Reapers end games there time and time again, but here we go. Splice is going to be on the way. They will drop the beat here in a moment, and will Shrugger be able to work his magic? Will they be able to stay away from Waz? Oh no, they're going to the corner where Waz just was. Waz is no longer there though, so it's a slightly safer position of approach. They're waiting for it. They know that this is their last push no matter what. They're moving in. Mezar able to take out Shrugger immediately. There will be no Dragon Blade, and this is horrible for Splice.
Losing that Dragon Blade is a lot of potential damage gone. Sickness switch off with the Zarya onto Reaper and does not have anywhere close to an ultimate. That Death Blossom is still what we're watching for here as the shield gets dropped. I actually half expected him to use it there, but of course Transcendence is going to keep the defense alive. No one falling on the side of Liquid, but losing Clockwork and Shayna's Ghost means Splice will be stopped in their tracks. Sickness does go down as well, and only 5 seconds left to even try to contest. I feel like Liquid have done it. You have to feel great after losing A as quickly as they did, just keeping it together. AZK giving the freedom here to take out Kozin and Shrugger again. Letting him do his thing is giving Liquid all they need.
Right, and I just want to comment a little bit about Splice's last push there. So where that really went bad is that I think there was miscommunication. They went in and out several times before going in, and Shrugger went in. I think he was expecting a sound barrier. Didn't get it, but here we go. Some of the highlights here from the game. Of course, Graviton towards the end by ID. Even though it only got Shane, AZK was able to get to the back, follow it up. And AZK, just in general, the rock for Liquid this entire time. For Waz, even though he has had some good games, not the absolute best showing for him, but doesn't even need to be when AZK is doing so much.
Yeah, some of these left clicks were just, dead on. The fact that even from the high ground, shooting straight down into that Transcendence earlier, we saw that crazy clip. Waz here getting a few nice Reaper shots in. Liquid have to feel good about that last-minute hold, but now it's time to flip sides. Splice will be on the side of the defense, and Liquid will have to break out something different. Of course, your offense is going to usually look a bit different than your defense, so this time around, Waz off the Reaper onto the Genji. He's still got a minute to switch it up on us, but I don't expect him to really change. Genji is a pretty pivotal part of this Dorado offense for pretty much everyone.
Right, and I think the interesting thing going in here, of course, into the next game, for those who don't know, is that Liquid does not have to worry about a timer. All they have to do is simply push the cart a little bit further, so time pressure is off for them. For Splice, we've mentioned this before earlier in the day, and something that Melty almost did when in a similar situation is that the best opportunity for Splice now is that they need to full hold here on point A. If Liquid is able to get through point A and get to the street phase, the odds that Splice is actually going to be able to hold go dramatically down. But taking a look here at this defense coming up from Splice, is going to be free refills on the Zenyatta, Shayna's Ghost on Reinhardt, Shrugger on the defensive Genji, Kozin on Lucio, Clockwork on McCree, and Sickness can round things out here on the Reaper.
I would love to see some data compiled, but you're totally right. It's either 0.1 or 0.3. The church phase generally seems to be pretty accomplishable by most teams, even with only 2 minutes. It seems that the choke point of the underpass on the church phase is a little bit easier to get through than this first one, only because of the very few entry routes that are available. So everyone going to be pushing the payload to start us off. Waz perhaps moving back to the shortcut. No, it looks like he's just going to stay on the bridge, get that guaranteed damage from the shurikens. No fall-off damage, of course, for Genji, so he can just fire away. Now that the payload is in the choke point, we'll see if defense decides to push up. It looks like actually they're just allowing Reinhardt to keep his shield up near the fountain, and they won't take an engagement until the offense tries to come into them.
Right, and right now, Liquid, they're not going for any crazy flanks, but Clockwork able to snipe out to Hang. That's a huge loss here for Liquid. Liquid actually just going to move in, trying to make the most of it, and they do. They take out Shane immediately. They're still down to Zenyatta. ID is very charged up. It's 5v5, and even though being down to Zen is a bad omen in terms of the lack of support you're getting, they might be able to turn this in their favor. Though, from the looks of it, Splice will be able to hold on. They take out AZK, they take out ID. I like the concept behind what Liquid did in terms of, okay, one's down, let's try and do the most of it anyways, because we're going to have to wait for him no matter what.
Yeah, definitely, they actually got a kill pretty quickly there. AZK notably playing Reaper this time around on defense instead of McCree. That's mostly because he knows there's going to be targets on that payload. He always knows that he'll be able to get in close on something, and Wraithwalk, of course, is really good for contesting, compared to a McCree, of course, that will just get flopped in any kind of 2v1 situation, something like that. But the defensive Genji Shrugger actually has been doing a lot of work. Clockwork specifically getting 2 kills there on AZK and Mezzer as a result of his Deadeye, catching them by surprise perhaps, without the whole team present. 2 people fall pretty quickly. ID down now as well. Liquid is going to have to spend about 20 seconds before they can get back to this payload at all.
Anytime McCree can open like that, it's absolutely devastating, because those are effectively 2 free kills. It's one of those things where, short of running the Deadeye itself, there was nothing that had to be expended from the Splice side to actually make that work. And that alone, that's going to kill a push. I mean, 4v6, you don't want to fight it. Even if you do have ults, it's not worth throwing good money after bad. But speaking of this right now, Waz in the back line, about to have Dragon Blade moving in. ID sets up with the first kill on the coast, but Waz getting nothing done, is immediately taken out. Here comes Shrugger, a Dragon Blade of his own, looking to get to this Liquid backline. Liquid all in here with the Transcendence. Earthshatter, though, comes in from the defense. Shrugger trying to fall through, and ID having none of it. He's had 3, now 4 kills here from ID in this push. A charged up Zarya, absolutely terrifying, and that is going to be what Liquid needs to get to this point. And for Splyce, things just went from bad to worse, because remember, that yellow checkmark on the top, that's all Liquid has to push a cart to here.
Yeah, checkpoint achieved. Definitely feels good for them. ID going on a rampage there. And it's worth pointing out, ID, a super high charge, 90+% for that entirety of that push. And just to point it out, it happens in your solo queue games. It happens in competitive all the time where people feed the Zarya, but it happens in pro games too. That Zarya is going to be supercharged if he knows what he's doing at all. You can basically place bubbles on teammates that are already taking damage. It can be very difficult to not feed the Zarya, so to speak. Graviton Surge is going to be ready very shortly again, and ID has another opportunity to help Liquid break through this church phase.
All right, well, while you take a look at Liquid, they do have Sound Barrier in the Dragon Blade. We'll see if Waz can pick things up here. He said it was somewhat of a rough series here thus far. He is waiting for his opportunity. On the defense, Splyce, they're going to have to put a lot of faith here in Clockwork and Kozin, but Clockwork picks out Dehang once more. It's now 65. Here comes the Graviton, though, by ID. Waz says, I'm going in anyways. AZK able to take out one from this Graviton to start things out. Waz with the fall through on the Shane. However, Free Refills able to take out Waz in turn, so again, not the best look overall. It is kind of scrappy here, but Clockwork doing his best to keep Splyce in here on this defense, and it looks like Splyce will hold.
They will hold for now, indeed. Minstrel does have a sound barrier on the return. Kozin can match him, though, so those will likely negate. I do expect to see them both come out once an engagement begins, unless someone gets picked, of course, on the way in. Splyce doing a good job on defense. Free refills there on the Zenyatta as one of their newer faces. Has been doing pretty well. Obviously, on offense, they weren't able to set a time, but things are looking all right here on defense. About 3 minutes left to try and push through this last choke point. Waz, I do expect him to get up there and get in the face of the defense any moment. Cutting back to the church now, you can see the offense kind of trailing behind. Waz actually getting picked off there by Clockwork. Great shot. Another one onto id, and Mezzer falls shortly after. AZK down as well. Clockwork on a rampage.
Clockwork putting the team on his back there. A little bit of celebratory taunting at the end. That was just beautiful to watch. Clockwork just putting Splyce on his back there. And we talked about AZK having a pretty darn good game on McCree for himself. That was beautiful coming out from Clockwork. That being said, Team Liquid, they're going right back into it. They still want another crack at this. They do have Sound Barrier in the Death Blossom. Splyce has a whole lot more in terms of ulti, Sound Barrier, Death Blossom, Dragon Blade. So by all rights, Splyce should be able to take this fight. It's not necessarily going to go down that way, but Liquid has to be careful. They are outgunned in terms of resources right now, and they're taking a downright awkward angle to go in on here.
This is pretty interesting. On Numbani, this works sometimes on point A. On this point in Dorado, it's a little bit trickier. Of course, they are going to leap in now. You see the sound barrier for the side of the attackers. Deadeye as McCree flies away, still gets the kill. Gets the kill on AZK. Sickness moving forward with that extra HP on the side of the defense, taking free shots away at Minstrel. Discord Orb is going to mean he will fall very quickly, and Splyce continues to hold. Clockwork getting that flying Deadeye was actually pretty amusing, but everything goes the way of Splyce. Liquid only has 90 seconds now to try and meet this checkpoint.
Yeah, the problem there is that was not that productive of a wipe for Liquid. They threw a lot of ults at that into ults. So even though Splyce had to use some resources, Liquid arguably used more. And I take a look. Clockwork takes out Dehang again! Clockwork making work out of Liquid right now. And Splyce now in a great opportunity to actually win this game. If they win this next fight, that is very likely to be it. They do have a Death Blossom in the reserve. And really what it's going to come down to here is that ID and Waz need to combine their powers, go for that wombo combo, because if that does not happen, Liquid is going to get stopped here in the Streets phase.
Yeah, it's very interesting, actually. They've been able to hold the high ground this entire time, and Liquid has not really changed composition to try and deal with it. They tried a sneaky flank route through the stairs, but that didn't work out, so you're totally right. ID has to be on point with this Graviton Surge. As they drop down now, there is an opportunity. Deadeye was used. Graviton Surge, there's a deflect. Waz does pop his blade. He gets at least one kill there on Clockwork. Shayna's Ghost is down as well. Liquid has perhaps an opportunity as 3 members of the defense are down. They can get this payload moving.
AZK saying the Clockwork, anything you can do, I can do better. Gets the 4K, cleans up with the assistance of ID and Waz. Liquid out of the fire right now, perhaps back into the frying pan to some extent. Still though, with about 2 minutes and 14 seconds left, they don't have to bring this too far. So I would actually say that they went from on the verge of losing to now on the verge of winning. As AZK picks off free refills. Now a 6v5 in favor of Liquid. This is the danger zone here for Splyce. The soonest out they're going to have up here is from Shrugger, and that's it. They might have an Earth Shatter as well, but they're going to have to use both of this in what will be a 5v6 situation for at least another few seconds.
It's a running theme today of teams just meeting these checkpoints at the very last second. High Noon is out, but AZK is just prone. He didn't try to take any cover, couldn't actually pull the trigger either as Clockwork found him and eliminated him. Here's a Deadeye from the side of the defense, but I don't see any kills in that feed, so Shrugger is going to be doing a lot of damage. Free refills as well. The defense is starting to pick up. Finally, 90 seconds left for Liquid to just push like 5 meters. Do you think they can do it, ZP?
Well, here's the problem is that Splyce was at an ult disadvantage going into that. They have definitely came back up with the ults that they need. Minstrel is not going to have a sound barrier to start this fight. They're going to have to wait a little bit, give him some time to build it up. Then they'll have Transcendence, Sound Barrier, and very likely Dragon Blade, but it's going to be relatively even between the two. Sickness could have his Death Blossom up. This is going to be a close fight, but whoever wins this is very likely to win this game. Here comes the Sound Barrier from Splyce. Splyce taking the initiative. Clockwork again, looking for pickouts over the top. Transcendence has been forced out, and here comes Shrugger. Now into the back line, has Dragon Blade at the ready. Free refills, though, onto Waz. Waz not able to get anything with his Dragon Blade in turn. It is 5v5 right now, but here comes AZK on the double kill. Clockwork trying to do the same here from the back line at the moment. AZK, though, still in it. Mezar goes down. It is very back and forth. Both teams throwing everything they have on the point. ID with the Graviton Surge picks up 2. Will there be the fall through? AZK is still lurking.
They're
Sickness
so
away will take out
close.
ID. Oh my goodness, this is coming down to the
close.
wire.
Defense still standing there, giving enough time for Reinhardt to charge in. Lucio, got to give props to Kozin for staying alive throughout that. AZK and Waz still finding the kills, though, trying to pick off that Lucio first. The flashbang comes out and hits Tracer, but she is able to rewind to safety. Shrugger does go down. Kozin goes down. Clockwork goes down. The Deadeye comes out from AZK to block anyone else from coming out, and Liquid does it. It looked really scary for them at least twice during that map, but Liquid manages to put away Splyce for game number 1.
And you want to talk about Splyce there, I'm just going to say this. I'm sure we'll have plenty of highlights, including the in-game play of the game. Clockwork really just having himself a game, and this is where he went off out of nowhere, basically. Took out Minstrel, carried it through, just left clicks all the way, found Waz, and just made it look easy. He was playing Duck Hunt at the expense of Team Liquid there, and things could not have gone any better for Clockwork, and really, big reason as to why Splyce came very close to holding this game.
I'm actually, a bit surprised that they didn't. It was that church checkpoint that I thought may have gone the way of Splyce and actually managed to seal the game, but Liquid fighting back, AZK a big part of that, and Waz with that Dragon Blade inside that final room, just doing a ton of work there. ID with the spot on, Graviton Surge, everything came together for Liquid. Here's that 5-piece again from Clockwork. That's a great highlight there for him, and the spamming, of course, of the noose spray sealing the deal. But yeah, this is, again, just a best-of-3 series here in the round of 8. So Liquid, I mean, taking that first game, looking pretty good, perhaps moving into the semifinals. But on the other end, we do have a King of the Hill map, guaranteed. I'm not sure if it's Nepal or Lijiang Tower just yet, but it's going to be our first King of the Hill basically all day.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get some King of the Hill in and into play. We'll see what's going on there. But given what we saw from both AZK and Clockwork there, teams don't always run McCree's nowadays on King of the Hill. It is sort of an option call. You do have the ability to say, okay, maybe we don't want to run it. But I will say that looking back at that last game, AZK and Clockwork, so as they went the rest of their team. They both had huge plays that really pushed things forward, and shows that McCree, of course, did get nerfed a little bit after his huge buff, but still very, very good in the right hands.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a King of the Hill actually for the first time today, and Liquid and Splyce, the way they're playing, I have to imagine Clockwork or AZK will stay on McCree as they're basically on fire for the moment. But we are going to jump to a short break. When we return, we will have a King of the Hill map here between Team Liquid and Splyce. Don't go anywhere.